I am Maijun Tubato Ehe, and I am very excited to introduce to you the categories of nonverbal communication. If you will ask me, I would definitely support the nonverbal communication, especially in communicating with a deaf, as my aunt is a deaf, where I use sign languages to communicate with her and build a relationship with her. It may be hard for them, and good thing that we have this nonverbal communication for us to fill in the gap between us normal and to some hearing impaired persons. In here, Edward Sapir quoted that nonverbal communication is an elaborate secret code that is written nowhere, known by none, and understood by all. So this nonverbal communication serves as a secret code for both person who are using it in communicating, and sometimes code may be different as it was created by many with different strategies. And I have constructed these objectives to guide us all throughout the lesson. First, we have the knowledge. So the student must know the subcategories of nonverbal communication influencing interpersonal communication. Then we have the skills, where the student must connect the categories of nonverbal communication that influence perception. Then we have the attitudes. The student must relate on the categories of nonverbal communication which is used in our day-to-day life. In addition to the function of nonverbal communication, there are categories. So we have these categories. It includes the haptics, which is the touch, then the kinesics, which implies to the body movement or the gestures. Then we have oculesics, or facial expressions, which pertains to the eye and face behavior, and of course the physical appearance. So we have here our first category is the haptics. So haptics, it involves touch, and touch is used in many ways in our daily lives, such as greeting, comfort, affection, task, accomplishment, and control. You may have engaged in a few or all of these behaviors today, and if you shook hands with someone, hug a friend, kiss your romantic partner, then you use touch to greet and give affection. Touch can be helpful or harmful and must be used appropriately to have effective relationships with family, friends, and romantic partners. So consider that inappropriate touch can convey romantic intentions where no romance exists. Conversely, fear can be instilled through touch. Touch is a powerful interpersonal tool along with voice and body movement. Then we have the next category, which is the vocalics. Vocalics is the study of paralanguage, which includes the vocal qualities that go along with verbal messages, such as the pitch, rate, vocal quality, and verbal fillers. As Anderson says, and pitch helps convey meaning, regulate conversational flow, and communicate the intensity of a message. Then we have the haptics. So here let us discuss first the following factors for haptics. So Ponyanan, Carter, and Wrench found that there are three different factors related to touch deprivation. First, we have the absence of touch. So the absence of touch, many people can go days or even weeks without physically having contact with another person. People may surround them on a day-to-day basis at work, but this doesn't mean that they can engage in physical contact with other people. Then we have the longing for touch. For some people, the lack of touch can be psychologically straining because humans inherently have a desire for physical contact. And for some people, this lack of physical contact with other humans can be satisfied by having a pet. So they satisfy themselves with a pet if they don't have a human contact. Then we have this sexual intimacy for touch. So obviously, these types of situations can be risky because they involve sexual contact outside of an intimate relationship. In fact, hooking up can be detrimental to someone's psychological well-being. So, the researchers found out that there was a positive relationship between touch deprivation and depression, and a negative relationship between touch deprivation and self-esteem. The study also found that those individuals who felt that they did not receive enough touch growing up, or the tactile nurturance, also reported higher levels of touch deprivation as adults. So this is just a further indication of how important touch is for children and adolescents. Then we have here the vocal characteristics. We have first the timbre. So timbre is the quality given to a sound by its overtones. Then we have the tempo. So tempo, which is the rate at which one speaks. So tempo changes when there is changes in tempo, it can reflect emotions such as excitement or anger, physical well-being, or energy level. Then we have the last vocal characteristic, the intensity. So intensity is how loudly or softly an individual speaks, and it can be tied to emotion. When individuals speak loudly, the increased volume may be used to convey anger, emotional distress, happiness, or heightened excitement. And when individuals speak at a lower tune or a lower volume, the decreased volume may be an effort to diffuse an emotionally intense conversation. So lower volume could also be the result of sharing bad news, discuss taboo or sensitive topics. You know that. Then we have next, we still have other vocal features, and we have first the paralanguage. So paralanguage is another term for vocalics and refers to extra-linguistic features involved in speaking, such as the characteristics of speech just discussed, then pauses and silences, and non-verbal vocalizations. Then we have the pauses and silences. Pauses and silences is an important part of creating meaning during interactions. So during a conversation, we need to have some pause, or we need to remain silent to extend our emotion or feelings. So Allowing brief silences during communication invites the audience to pause and take in the message. So as we pause, the audience take in the message. Make the connection with it and stay engaged with the speaker. Pausing also signals to the audience that a new thought or idea is coming and allows them time to ready themselves to receive it. Okay, we have here the disfluences, vocal fillers, or verbal surrogates. So these are sounds that we make as we attempt to fill dead air while we are thinking of what to say next. Like we will say so those sounds were used in conversation, and these disfluences may pass unnoticed by both the sender or the receiver, but consider how the recognition of disfluences increases when listening to a speaker who says or during a speech. When giving a presentation, the speaker may even call attention to disfluences by speaking of them directly, and audience members may become distracted by disfluences. Then we have next category, we have the kinesics. So kinesics helps in effective communication as it helps to improve our body language and interaction quality. Then it also helps to know what our appearance helps in our effective communication, and it also helps in learning the facial expression while speaking to a particular person. So our next category is the oculesics. From the term oculesics, so it pertains to eye contact. Often when discussing eye behavior, researchers refer to gaze. Research consistently demonstrates that females gaze at interaction partners more frequently than males. So I can relate. When listening, I tend to give an eye contact to the speaker as I will receive and interpret the message by focusing on the speaker, and while focusing I remain to give an eye contact to that speaker. Then and also gaze has been studied concerning deception, and early research determined the significance of eye contact in the interpretation behavior. When people gaze too long or too little, there is likely to be a negative interpretation of this behavior. However, later researchers acknowledge that there is a much greater range of acceptable gazing as influenced by verbal communication. Then, part of the kinesics is the facial expression. So, Ekman and Friesen present 7 emotions that are recognized throughout the world. So these emotions are often referred to by the acronym SAD fish, as in sad fish. So S stands for surprise. You're surprised. Then anger. So your facial expression will then change if you're angry, right? Then disgust. And when you're fear, you have then I for interest, then S for sadness, and the H stands for happiness. So facial expressions are especially useful in communicating emotion. Although not all facial expression is universally recognized, and people are generally able to interpret facial expressions within the context, we generally consider happiness is indicated by a smile. So when a person smiles, it means that he or she is happy. Then, part of the gestures. So kinesics serve multiple functions when communicating, such as emblems, illustrators, affect displays, and the regulators. So emblems is the thumb up and out, hit shaking sign. Then many gestures are emblems. So you may recall from earlier that gestures are clear and unambiguous and have a verbal equivalent in a given culture. So only a handful of emblematic gestures seem to be universal. For example, a shrug of the shoulder to indicate, I don't know. So like this, I don't know. Then we have the illustrators. So illustrators help emphasize or explain a word, while emblems can be used as direct substitution for words. These illustrators help emphasize or explain a word. So for example, for this is she was when a girl was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. So remember that when in the movie a girl will like that. So a girl will give a sign of L, letter L in her hand, but that gesture is often used to illustrate loser. So when you do that, it simply implies a gesture of loser. Then we have the next, affect displays. So affect displays show feelings and emotions. Consider how music and sport fans show enthusiasms. Yeah. So it is not uncommon to see grown men and women jumping up and down at sport events during a particularly exciting moment in a game. However, there are different norms depending on the sport. It would simply be inappropriate to demonstrate the same nonverbal gestures at a golf or tennis game as a football game. So in tennis, they're not allowed to jump or overreact your emotions in supporting your team. So there's a big difference between the basketball game and tennis or golf game. Then the next category is the proxemics. We still have regulators. So as part of the gesture, regulators help coordinate the flow of conversation, or shrugging shoulder or wink like that. So regulators are gestures that help coordinate the flow of conversation, such as when you shrug your shoulder or wink, head nods like that, eye contact or aversion, hand movements, and changes in posture are considered to be turn-taking cues in conversation, and individuals may sit back when listening but shift forward to indicate a desire to speak. So eye contact shifts frequently during a conversation to indicate listening or a desire to speak. Head nods are used as a sign of listening and often indicate that the speaker should continue speaking. Then we have the next category, which is the proxemics. So proxemics is the study of communication through space, where there is a personal space, something that is near and dear to all of us, especially when someone enters it without our approval. So sometimes we don't want to have conversation with strangers, which is so close. We need to have an inch of space with them, as we still don't trust them. Then next category is the artifacts. So artifacts are items with which we adorn our bodies or which we carry with us. So most of these are like jewelry, glasses, canes, shoes, clothing, or any object associated with our body that communicates meaning. One very famous artifact that most everyone can recognize is the glasses of Harry Potter. So we often view, or if we will give Harry Potter a symbol, it would be eyeglasses, as he always wear that glass. Then together the artifacts were interpreted as power. Then our next categories of nonverbal communication is the Kinesics. So Kinesics refers to time in a communication. So time is a bit more fluid rather than incremental in polychronic cultures. Unfortunately, the author failed to take this into account and nearly missed a presentation. This resulted in stress that could have been avoided had she remembered to pay more attention on the time orientation of those around her. So the use of time to communicate actually is a very significant aspect in communication. The use of time is considered to be culturally bound, and yes, it is. Then we have the olfactics. It refers to the sense of smell in communication. A scent. So consider the impact of failing to manage one's natural scent in a workplace. Sometimes I consider the scent in communicating or having a conversation with someone, as I am really not comfortable communicating with someone who has a disgusting scent, as I have a very sensitive smell. I have a very sensitive nose, and if I smell a bad scent, it may affect on my thinking. Maybe I can focus on the conversation, and that's why we need to be hygienic enough when we are going to have a conversation with someone. So the olfactics generally refers to the influence of scent on perceptions. Yes, and countless articles in popular media address how to deal with a smelly coworker. I don't know how to deal with that, because it might hurt them when you speak frankly with them. So maybe you will give some metaphoric sentence with them, or that will make them realize, maybe. So thus, it is crucial to be aware of one's scent, including the ones we wear, in an effort not to offend those around us. So although smelling bad may end a relationship, or at least create distance, it is actually true that smelling bad will really create an ending relationship, or create a distance among people. So unattractive scent may help individuals begin a new relationship. A good scent uh, is the best way to start and build a good relationship, or if you want to have a good conversation with someone. Then next we have the physical appearance. So physical appearance has an impact on how people relate to us and view us. So I believe that having a physical appearance is having a good physical appearance as an advantage for you to have and build a good relationship among other people, or if you want to gain more friends, having a good physical appearance is the most common way or the best asset you have. Then then we have here the somatotype as one of the category of non-verbal communication. So he discredited idea that the somatotype refers to the human body shape and physique type that are associated with personality traits. So somatotype simply refers to the different sizes of body, which we will then discuss in here. First, we have that but before we will go to the different sizes, we will still discuss the Sheldon, which Sheldon created these terms from the 3 germ layers. So these 3 primary cell layers of embryonic development. So we are familiar with the term endoderm. So this is an inner layer which develops into the gastrointestinal tract. So as you are familiar with endoderm, then we have the mesoderm. This is the middle layer. So if we say middle, it is an average type, or yeah, it's in the middle. Then in here, the mesoderm develops into the cardiovascular and muscular system. So if we will imagine into a person who are in a middle layer, so that person really builds muscle, who is strong, who is good at gaining or losing weight. Then we have ectoderm. So ecto means the outer layer, so it pertains to bigger portion. So develops into the skin and the nervous system. Now, as you were very excited to know the different sizes, which we discussed from the somatotype, we have here the ectomorph, which is a type of body who has a little body fat. Then ectomorphs are long and lean with little body fat in their bodies and have a little muscle. So most common bodies are of these ectomorphs. I can give an example, which I call the models, basketball players. And when we say mesomorph, so people with this body type typically respond well to weight training. So these people are good at gym, or they have that type of body which I admire, as I really want to gain a little extra weight. So this type of people are not thin and not thick. They're in an average level. Then we have the endomorph. So this body has high fat tissue, and this type of body has a slow metabolism, which they gain weight a lot. That's why endomorph body type usually have soft, round bodies with a wide waist and large bones joints, and hips regardless of their height. So they gain weight a lot, their fats are high, and let's go to body positivity. Whenever you are insecure of your body, whenever you're doubting why you have that body and you're not happy with your body, no, we need to appreciate our body as we are created this way. And well, physically attractive students are viewed as most popular by their peers. They are popular, but in that sense, that's not the only way to make us happy as a human being. We need to um, we need to be grateful in every little things we have. Like we are here, and we are breathing. Um, and we are physically healthy, and we are not in a hospital. Then, so let's start with so we have this 5 body positivity. So I hope it will help everyone that we really need to do this 5 body positivity. So we have first, of course, reclaim health. And if you will ask, why is it important to reclaim our health? So reclaiming our health help us to save our healthcare bills and get the most out of our health plan options. You know, we won't spend any peso for us to manage to live. And yeah, for us to manage to live. That's it. Then we have to practice intuitive self-care. Why? Why is it important for us to practice intuitive self-care? Intuitive care is learning to trust our bodies regarding both eating and exercise. It's about being attuned to our body and realizing what our body needs. So it's not about limiting yourself to 800 calories a day or exercising for 9 hours every day. Instead, it's about learning to listen to our bodies mindfully. Intuitive self-care is realizing that our bodies need food and exercise, so we need to listen to them and provide them what they need. At the same time, intuitive self-care realizes that this is going to look different for everyone, and in other words, there is no perfect diet or exercise routine that will be beneficial to anyone. So what your body loves, that's what you need to do. Then we have the next body positivity is to declare our own authentic beauty. We have our own authentic beauty. Yes, everyone is beautiful, yet we live in a society that places premiums on certain types of physical attributes that get labeled physically attractive or beautiful. No, we are actually beautiful in our own creative, authentic way. So, declaring our own authentic beauty is about choosing to see and express ourselves just as we are, and internal and external qualities combined in that way. So, sorry. Exploring beauty through a body positive lens teaches us to have a dynamic, engaged relationship with the world around us. So we honor our bodies as we pass through each developmental stage of life, which lead us to true self-care because we don't confuse it with a desire to transform our physical selves to meet someone else's definition of beauty. Then we have build community. This is what I am aiming right now. I really want to build a community. not literally a community, but to build a relationship with different people who has different perceptions about life. I really want to sympathize them or understand them, and I really want to know them well. Then, so building community could really be helpful for us, especially in this time of pandemic, as in this time of pandemic, we really need to uh, help uh, so building a community. In the modern world, more and more humans feel the need to create more meaningful connections, find and offer support to other humans with whom they can build relationships and systems to exchange. It's hard to trust someone right now, but the way we show to other people that we are a kind of person whom they will trust, that could be a great way to serve among human beings, as we are not only building communities, we are helping each and everyone to be to gain at least trust among other individual, and that will include us. It should be that and that and it's not that we shouldn't think how hard it is. It's not hard to reach out with friends or even among any other individuals in your barangay or in your place. As a future educator, I believe that we can change the world if we start listening to one another again. Simple, honest, human conversation. Thank you.